Hey, Brown Girl Banter.
Hey, Brown Girl Banter.
We are so excited to be with you. I am Dr. Patience.
And I'm Dr. Dangerfield.
We are back with another episode today. And this, let me tell you now, we have a guest with us. Ashley's here to talk with us about dating in this here 2019, almost 2020, and what that looks like. Lucretia and I, Dr. Dangerfield and I, have really been talking about dating from so many perspectives. It's been, age.
It's from same-sex relationships.
Yes, I mean from like
single moms out there,
divorced women getting back out there dating.
What does it look like?
What does it look like? And so it has just been a range of topics. But one thing that we've definitely both kind of chuckle about, and I think are working to get a better understanding, is like our millennials, right? Like they have really changed the game for dating. Now, granted, I have been married for a really long time, and so I only get to enjoy the stories of it. And let me not say enjoy, because sometimes I'm like, I just don't understand. A lot of my, friends struggle bus city, and so we wanted to kind of get a different perspective that's just not she and I talking about it and, laughing with some of our members of Bay about it. But, somebody could come in, really speak to it, laugh with us about it, talk to us about it, ask you all some questions about it. So we have been waiting to do one of these episodes on dating, and we have so many more to follow.
Yes.
So this is one
from
of
different perspectives.
So many different perspectives. So I'm going to let Lucretia talk a little bit about Ashley, and then we're going to let Ashley introduce herself to you before we get started.
Well, we have Ashley. And Ashley, and I guess it's easier to tell the story of how I know Ashley and some of the conversations Ashley and I have had from a professional standpoint of like even being a professional woman, and especially a professional woman of color, and what it looks like to date. I met Ashley as I was one of her adjunct professors. And just like, so through the years, in the community, getting ready to hang out, or doing work in mental health, Ashley does things and she shares. She's like, hey, Dr. Dangerfield, have you heard about this? Do you need to do this? And I'm like, oh, okay, need to get out there and find out about this. So that's how I got to do it. And I saw it as a leader, especially in as a professor. And I was like, she's really sharp. And she was working on her master's degree. And so over the course of time, since I'm no longer an adjunct, and she's no longer a student. So we had to actually carry the conversations outside of the classroom, and now it's more from a professional standpoint. But the funny thing is that Ashley and we had a conversation earlier this week, and Ashley did not know she was a millennial.
Oh, fun fact.
She's like, people say I'm a millennial, but she said not until today did I realize that I was a millennial. And I was like, you're a millennial. Yeah, you're a millennial. But we know that millennials are on different spectrums. Like you have the very young millennials that really have switched what dating looks like. But then you have those that are more closer to the Gen X that, they're like, am I a millennial?
Right.
And dating for them looks different. So when we're in a day where Netflix and chill has become the way, or swipe left, swipe right, and see how that looks.
Exactly.
It is just like, it's amazing to me, because I'm like, what is this? And I was talking to another young lady, she's a millennial, and she's like, Dr. Dangerfield, well, she calls me Danger. She's like, Danger, she said, that whole app thing, that's not going to work for you. I was like, oh, okay. She was like, no.
I'm just going to tell you now.
She said, because you're not going to want to be swiping right, swiping left, trying to figure out all this. She said, no, you got to find another way to date. I was like, oh, okay. I said, so millennial dating is not for me. Maybe dating a millennial man is for me. But I'm going to figure out how to meet him.
Get you one.
So, actually, I guess we was kind of tell our BGB audience, because sometimes I forget, but, a little bit about you, what you want to share, and then just kind of tell us like some of your thoughts how dating as a millennial looks to you.
Okay, I will definitely do that. Dr. Dangerfield, you spoke volumes, and you always do. You always say something that gets my wheels turning because I'm in a complete like mashup. But let me firstly tell a little bit about myself. My name is Ashley. I'm a private practice therapist. And I love it, and that's pretty much it about me. But no, you said it. I am a millennial, but I'm in a weird place because I grew up where we were watching Living Single, and dating was different. So the guys would come over, they would meet guys at work, and so that's what I thought, dating would be like when I grew up. But as I was growing up, like, it started to shift. Like, it was more tech involved and things like that. And I'm like, I'm holding on to the Living Single. That's the way I date. I date like we watched on UPN, Mr. Cooper and stuff like that. Like,
those kind of days.
That's what we thought that's what I thought dating would look like. But then, you go to college and you get a different, vibe. You get different people and things like that. And then you're post-college. And that's completely different because you're in this little culture for a while. You're in this little shell. And you're like, dating is it can be easy because you can just pick. They're like right there. You know what I mean? You have to deal with different dynamics. There are more women than men, ratios, that type of thing. Yeah. But, that's life, is what I was thinking. And then post-college, it's like, oh, Lord, what is going on? What are they doing? You know what I mean? So you said it perfectly. Like, I'm on the spectrum of being a millennial, but I still very much so identify with a lot of the Gen X things and the generation before that. Because, I had the influence of my parents and, just the relationships that I saw in my family. So dating is interesting. I can't swipe left or right. I'm very much so like a very people person. I like to get to know people, and that's just a personality thing. So dating is interesting. And like I was saying earlier, like, what is dating even? How do we even define dating?
Right.
I was telling you, like, I was talking to a coworker and she was telling me some things that she's dealing with and things like that. I'm like, he's courting you. She was like, but this has been going on for 4 years. I'm like, he's courting you.
She didn't even know what that. She didn't know.
No. And I was like, you're dating. That's a version of dating. And she was like, if that's what you want to call it. I'm like, well, what would you call it? And she was like, this was what she did. I guess we are dating.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So I guess, when you have an idea of what dating looks like, sometimes you don't realize you're in it. Just because it's a dating spectrum. Dating can look like getting to know a person. Dating can be like taking them. It's just different. And so it's hard to identify with what dating is when you don't really have a real definition of it.
That is so interesting because I appreciate the fact that you brought up like growing up on Living Single, right? And watching that. And like the ideas and the differences of coming over to the house or running into somebody at the grocery store or at church or like, that engagement process where somebody sees you, they're attracted to you, they get the nerve up to come ask you out. It becomes this, that's work. You know what I mean? That's work and being vulnerable.
And and I guess the question goes back, now are we in a society where people are willing to work and be vulnerable? Because it's easy to swipe left and swipe right when you don't know the person or to ghost someone because it's not working for you. But when you have to put yourself out there, people like, I don't want to do that.
They don't want to hear that, no.
That rejection.
Nobody wants to hear
and then that goes back to, that's a whole different conversation of why people like freak out over no, because no is a part of our vocabulary. But it's like they take it, it's like it's a more personal thing. It's like, hearing guys or men say, I won't walk up to a woman to ask them out because I don't want to feel the rejection. Or the other thing is, since the Me Too movement, how far do I go in the pursuit?
That's true.
Because I've heard several men say that they're like, I would be interested, but I don't know how to pursue now.
Especially in the workplace.
Right, because I don't want it to be seen as that I'm stalking, that that I'm like overstepping my boundaries. When she said no the first time, but she may not have really meant no, from like, I'm not going, I'm not gonna go out with you right now. But she may want you to ask again, like, because the first no was like, I don't think he's serious. But then the next no, he comes, the next question he asks again, and like, he might be serious and want to take me out. So that whole thing of like, how do you approach, how much do you put yourself out there to get to know someone and connect.
I think the part, and I don't know this to be true, so you can probably answer this, but like, so with the dating process and kind of like, is there this piece of like this, is the online thing, because people get catfished, right? Like people lie.
There's a whole show. There's a whole show
about it, right? Like, so I can pretend to be
somebody else,
whoever or whatever I want to be to lure you in, right? So, I mean, is the online component like really the way to go in trying to date?
Like I said, you always bring up some stuff that makes my wheels turn, because the rejection in the online dating is a no that you don't have to hear. You can have swipe, and all you hear is the yeses. So I think it's almost being able to know the rejection is there, but not having to confront it. So is it the way to go? Is it the way to go? For some, yeah. And even with the catfishing, we know that's a clear possibility to be completely catfished. And sometimes people are okay with it. They're like, I'm going to take this chance because this person may be able to give me everything I want, even if it's an illusion.
Man.
But don't make me go there on that one. Don't make me go there. Yeah. But no, I mean, it is for some people just for those factors alone and the possibility of being catfished. I think people are willing to take that chance that this person may actually be who I want them to be, and then just deal with the reality of them not being.
Man,
they'll live in a fantasy for as long as they can, and then yeah.
Ashley, that was heavy.
Right.
I just speak the truth.
I will take it. Oh my goodness, that is something.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
So, do you think millennials have like? We talk about this even as older adults and professional. I don't want to call us older adults because we're not that, but you know, this idea of like, people will say millennials are about like, let's, you know, the grind, you know, professionalism, career, you know, it's proven fact women are having children much later and, you know, getting married much later. And so I mean, like you just said, somebody was dating for 4 freaking years, you know, back in, I got married at 26. So like, we were like 4 years. You want it or not? Are we gonna make this go? You know, it's like we need some answers. Yeah. You know, but dating for 4 years is, to me, my ears like an eternity. Like, dude, what are we doing here? You know,
dates for that long,
right? And so I'm like, is that a norm? Is that okay? Is it like, you know, professional then dating? You know, or is that the struggle for African American women only or women of color only? You know, like what, you know, because I do have my friends who, you know, date for 6 months and they get married, you know, like, and who aren't, you know, so focused on professional development, you know, who are more focused on, you know, I want to get settled down, have a husband, have children, and, you know, I don't know, but I don't know if that's because the choice is easier, right? Like, they don't have to deal with the more women, less men component, you know, or I don't know if that's a forced thing or what. So do you feel like you and your friends are in this thing where it's like, I'm business first, then dating, or is it dating can go on forever because marriage is kind of like whatever, you know, like what do you hear?
You just said a lot, and that's an onion. I can literally peel back the layers of all those conversations with, like, because I have a very close friend. She's Caucasian, and she's a millennial, and she has a sister. And so I really I noticed and observed, because we've been friends for a while, the dating dynamic there, and then the dating dynamic with my other friends. So there definitely is a difference, and I don't want to overgeneralize.
Yes.
There's definitely a difference in how it's approached. And hers is, she's very... she's not necessarily professionally driven, and I think it's because she knows what she wants to do. She likes working with children, so she does that like in any area, and dating for her is just a thing that goes along with life. So her dating is just what it is. With my other friends who are millennials as well, I think we just think that dating is a part of what we're doing. We all are grinding, like in starting businesses and things like that, which is great. And that is a very millennial thing to be doing right now, especially as an African-American woman and as a single woman. Who, by the way, we can come back to this if you all want. I saw it either this morning or yesterday morning. It was on the Breakfast Club, and T.I. was talking about, he read a study how single black women are the happiest women. And I started reading comments, and it was literally hot and cold. They're like, no, they miserable. And then some were like, no, they happy. And so
Wow.
I think what is happening is we are starting to realize that it's a part of life, not life. It's not your whole life. So you can be happy and whole and work that into it. Just like you're working your career, you work relationships. And so you can be a happy and still work on yourself. There's always room to grow. You can be a happy person and still want to pursue a relationship. Happy doesn't mean, oh, I'm happy being alone. Happy means that I'm happy. And you should be happy that I'm happy. You don't have to make me happy in a relationship.
Because that's not your responsibility.
That's not your responsibility. And I don't want it to be my responsibility for you either. So I think the whole they're miserable thing is they feel like we're focusing on work to not focus on dating or focus on the fact that we're single. But really like, okay, this is how my dating life is going, but I'm still going to pursue my work. I don't have to put one down in order to uplift the other. So if that answers your question.
It does. Which I think that is a generational misconception, I will say, right?
Or one that needs to be broken.
I would agree with that. Like, I think it is, generations before me, you work, yes, but the ultimate goal is to settle down, have this family. The narrative looks like that, right? And, like I said, 4 years was like, no. We gonna get married and we about to do this thing, where maybe, like, yes, that's great and that's wonderful, but also identity, right? Who am I? Being comfortable with sense of self, right? Like, I don't need this person, or I don't need to be in this relationship and, for me to be happy, content, whole, completed, all those things. People crazy.
People say are that our society kind of puts on you when they play it out there on like reality TV shows where you have these dating shows with unrealistic expectations and people are like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be. It's like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. So we have to change the narrative and not poke fun or like say a person is wrong because they choose to do it this way.
I agree with that.
Because there's a lot of flack comes out like, oh, she should, because I hear a lot, it's like, okay, if you hadn't chased your education and your professional life, maybe you would have been married by now. I was like, no, I probably would not have been.
And do you have a crystal ball?
Right. So I making the choice of not chasing after that, that my identity was being in a relationship with somebody. I was like, okay, he come along, we chill, we cool, but I'm still pursuing my education and my work because it's part of my purpose. Because I can't negate purpose for a relationship, but I'm a believer that purpose brings along your purpose partner because that person's gonna join in, y'all's purpose is gonna join together and make it is what it is.
And there it goes.
No, I completely and utterly agree because I don't want to be in a relationship and I'm miserable and unfulfilled. And
I wake up later and be like, oh man,
I should have went to school. I wish I would have been a therapist. I could have, and I'm just gonna be transparent at this point. I could have been married and wed and settled down at like 18, and I knew then. I didn't know why, but I was like, this ain't it. I was like, no, I want to go to college. And he was like, you could go to college. I'm like, okay, but I'm going to have to change the type of college It changed, there are choices to be made. And someone would say, you could have been married, and then what? Married. And then what? And then let's talk about living a life in a purposeful relationship and being happy. That's all I'm saying about that.
I feel like millennials get kind of like a
bad rap.
Absolutely. That's why I couldn't identify with them. I'm like, ooh, that ain't me.
I'm telling y'all, I do. And sometimes I'm guilty, right? I feel like to thine own self be true. I'm also a very guilty person because I'm like, I feel like, I don't know if it was the individuals or just the timing and season that there was a shift in how life was done, right? But I don't know if it was just the millennials who did that, right? I think that's a community society, like that transition, right?
Yes.
But I think it all gets kind of put on this one generation or this one group of people, and I don't think that that's extremely fair, right?
No.
Like, and I think we do generalize, millennials, like, oh, millennials date like this, or millennial men are like this, or millennial women are like this.
And it's a difference.
I don't know if that's truly accurate, or is that now there's just social media or other platforms to publicize something maybe people in our generation was doing anyway, right?
It just was not on social media.
Right, because what's that?
YouTube.
What's that program that's been around? Not Match.com, the one before that one.
Black People Meet.
No. The one started all of the online dating. It wasn't Match.com. It was crap. If you know it, put it in the
No.
With the man who used to come on, they had all these success rates about how they got together.
eHarmony?
It was eHarmony was the very first one. Yes.
What was it?
Yes, and he started that whole thing about online compatible, and you feel this whole thing out.
Okay,
and, I mean, like, so finding your partner that way now we just have cell phones that are smarter and can do things, but it's started in their generation, so that's why they're getting all of the,
Yeah, because technology has shifted the game of things. Because first it was you have the computer and everybody didn't have access to it, and so only certain people were able to go on websites to fill out the questionnaire. And then we moved to smartphones. More people have your iPhone, your Android. They have these things. So like you say, it's at the tip of their fingers. As we were talking, I was thinking, a couple years ago, I started this work interviewing single women, like over 40, that, no kids, not yet married. And what I found in the research is, like, the majority of the ladies that were interviewed, from 20 to 30, they said they really had an active dating life. But then 30, it started slowing down, and then 40s, it's like became more stagnant. And it's like, well, what made that shift? And so it's like, will that happen to individuals in this group? Will things like shift? Because now a lot of them, like on the higher end for millennials, they're getting ready to shift into being 40, because they're 37, 38 that's like the high end, and then you have the younger end, and so it's like, will that shift for them? Like if you ask, your 30 something, what does your dating life look like? And it's some that's like, I don't have a dating life. I don't know what dating looks like. I ain't been successful. I'll go out and think, it don't work. But then, will it look the same as it is, for Gen X? And then there's Gen Xers out there that are living their best life because they're back out there in the life because they married young.
And they done.
And then they divorced.
Just didn't make it.
Right. And now they're out there again, from there I hear some say, ooh, I don't know about this. I don't even know what that. This is not dating like I'm used to. He don't come to. He don't court me.
Exactly.
And I have to be out here and like some of them, their biggest argument is, I'm not made like these little young. They're like these little young girls out here doing this for these guys. I don't do that because I did that for my husband for 40 years, and I'm tired of him. I was tired. That's why I got a divorce. I don't want to do it. That's what they say. So, how's it going to look in the next? Because we're coming up to a new decade, and things tend to shift in nature and in life as every 10 years. So I would love to see what it's going to look like in 2030.
Me too.
Whew. I hope that I have a grasp on this thing by the end. That's all I would say. No, I think just to kind of speak to both of the things that you all were saying, I've been thinking about these things, I guess just randomly. The dating scene and the way that the current generation is viewed, it's always been a little like taboo. You remember we had hippies, we had like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So each generation is kind of labeled on like what's acceptable, what's the norm, and then like you said, as technology changes. So I'm pretty sure millennials could be viewed as like the hippies of the
Yes.
the millennium,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
we have this whole like free spirit thing, and everybody's like open to being in everybody's Kool-Aid, because you have Instagram and you looking at everybody's timeline,
Yeah.
and that's how a lot of people date. I've met but I was talking to someone. I was like, "How did you all meet?" She was like, "On Instagram."
Wow.
And I
Because he dropped off into my DM.
Yeah.
You hear
and
more
that is
shorts like
unheard
that.
of for me.
Because you like, when they drop in your DM, you like,
why
I don't
in my
know.
DM?
Right, that's
I don't
creepy.
know
You like,
you.
that's creepy.
Creepy.
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't know you. Why you feel like this?
Yeah.
Why do you
Yeah.
feel like that's the way to reach out to me? But it comes with being comfortable and being okay with change.
Yes.
And figuring out what that change
Yeah.
looks like for you. And I'm speaking to myself, and that's really what that is. I'm like, I was on Facebook when it came out, but I was, even now, Dr. Dangerfield, I'm not on Facebook. I don't have, like, my page has been deactivated and activated and deactivated and activated like for the past 10 years, because it's just not ever been my thing. But I'm like, okay, if I want to choose to date differently, then I have to see how this looks for me. I don't have to be in anyone's DM and they don't have to be in mine. But how does this work? You can get to know a little bit about a person. Now, we know that everything that you see on social media,
Exactly.
you take it with a full grain of salt.
Please.
But even that can tell you a lot about a person. Why do you feel like you have to lie on social media? You know what I mean? So just using it for different ways, I think, and realizing how you can conform with the change and what that can look like for you. And that goes along with how dating can change in generations. So like what it'll look like for us in 30 years, in 10 years, in 2030, depends on how this generation chooses to change with the way the technology changes.
That's true.
So
Is dating hard?
I think so. I think relationships are hard, and that goes with like professional relationships. I think so. Yeah, I think dating is hard. I think it takes, like we said, vulnerability, because you have to put yourself out there, not just for a no. Put yourself out there for, this may not be what I want. I thought I knew what I wanted in a man, but actually this isn't. And then you have to take some time to self reflect. Exactly. So it is hard, because it should be though. It should be challenging. Anything worth challenging is worth having. It is more, I think, fulfilling to me.
Agreed. Do you think that in this generation that dating and courting still happens?
Yes.
That's
I do.
good.
I do. And I think it comes with using what's going on to how it works for you. I think you get to know a person online, and then you get to know them in person, and then you all can court. It doesn't have to be our courting was online. You know, you can make it your own. And I know people who are being courted and who are actually dating, and they're millennials, because I'm pretty sure they grew up in the living single age too. But they learn how to use social media, or they are actually like tech savvy people who like social media. So dating first there initially is their go-to, but they also have those things that they like, so they'll take you out, they'll come and pick you up.
They take they take it offline.
Yeah, exactly.
So what encouraging words would you have for a millennial in our BGB group?
Yes.
A woman of color who is, a professional, but also dating and, but feeling discouraged.
Don't be discouraged. It is challenging, and like I said, anything worth having is worth working for. So don't give up. I don't think it's as bleak as people tell us it is. I think a lot of times we have this like 5 mile radius, like, oh, dating is horrible, there's no one around. But let's go like maybe 10 to 15 miles outside of this radius. And you may meet someone. You may live in Nashville, but you may end up dating someone in Smyrna. I mean, just things like that. I don't think just dropping it and being done with it. I think if you keep your heart and your mind open, then those opportunities will come. And it's a matter of how you see them and how you approach them. And being open to change and just new things. Being open to, I see this guy every day at the post office, and I never thought that I would be interested in him, but he speaks to you and you're like, oh, actually, let me be in tune. What is that about? Hi, hello, starting the conversation. It may not be him, but he may know someone else. You just never know. And I think networking, and that goes back to the professionalism of the millennials, is a big part of that too. I think a lot of people are meeting each other through these networking experiences. So trying new things. I think that's a great word of encouragement for the millennials. Try new things.
I love that. I think that was too. And that was so enlightening. I think you gave me a lens that I just have never really viewed dating through. So that was super cool.
Well, thank you. I'm telling you, I just realized I was a millennial. This week.
I'm so glad you were here, Ashley. I think that was super helpful. And I really hope that you all leave comments and we'll send them to Ashley. She will answer them for you, or send them to us. And tell us about your dating experiences. Tell us what you would say to one another to keep, each other encouraged when it looks like, there's nobody out there,
Yeah.
or it's just too hard, or it's frustrating. We're all in this together.
Yes.
And so definitely you can have what kind of ever ending you want, right?
Yeah, you create it.
You create it. So we are appreciative of having you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks,
so
Ashley.
much.
Of course.
And Brown Girl Banter, we appreciate you. Again, I am Dr. Patience.
And I'm Dr. Dangerfield.
This is the lovely Ashley.
She's Ashley.
You all have a great
Great day.
day. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.